So function graphs and tables. So if you remember last week when we talked about functions, okay, we had it kind of like a machine. You got an input, output, all right, in your equation, okay. So one thing I want us to focus on, we see the function symbol, the f of x, okay. The f of x, this is our function, okay. This means function. But something else I want us to think about, you see the word graph up here? All right, with a graph, you get coordinates, okay? And you're going to have an x, y, okay? So when we see f of x, all right, this x can be represented as our x coordinate, okay? So that can look like your x coordinate. That's why it's an x, all right? So just keep that in mind. The x is going to be your x coordinate. So when we set up a function table, it's going to look something like this, all right? Don't make fun of my drawings either, because I cannot draw. It's a simple table, okay? Up top, you're going to have your x values, and the bottom, you're going to see something that looks like this, f of x, okay? So whatever this x is, obviously is going to go here, okay? And on this side, you're going to have some numbers. So let's say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever those numbers are, okay? So this is our function table. All right. This part up here, this is your x coordinates. Okay. And the bottom section is going to be your y coordinates. So it's just like a table. Okay. So basically, whatever numbers you have up here in your x coordinate, or you want to put in for x, all right, those are going to be your x values, and they're what you're going to substitute into your function machine, as we kind of want to call it. Okay. So this is going to make a lot more sense once we start graphing these. Not really graphing them, but doing them in a table. All right. So let's do an example. And all we're going to do here is we're just going to complete the table. Complete function table. So let's say f of x equals x squared plus 4. And here's our function table. So we have x, f of x, and we're going to have 2, 5, 7, 8, and 10. And I'll give you guys just a second to go ahead and fill yours in. So what we're looking for here is we're going to use our function rule, okay? This right here, this is called your function rule. This tells us the operation or the machine that we need to use to substitute in, solve, and get our y coordinate, okay? So whatever's up here is your x values. So for example, if we did the first one here, that would look like this. This would be f of 2 equals x squared plus 4. What goes in x? 2. This is going to be 2 squared plus 4. 2 squared is 4, and 4 plus 4 is 8. So for my y coordinate here, it would be 8. You're simply substituting and solving. We're substituting what x is into our function rule, plugging it, chugging it, and getting our last part of our y coordinate there. Okay? So you would do the same thing for the 5. Now, obviously, you won't need a show work every time, but if you did, that's completely fine. So if we look at my 5 here, I know it's going to be f of 5 equals x squared plus 4. So it's going to be 5 squared plus 4. So that would be 25 plus 4, which is going to give me 29. So then this coordinate would be 29. And I'll go through these just for this first example, just in case if you need to watch this again. So the next one will be 7. So it's going to be f of 7, x squared plus 4. It's going to be 7 squared plus 4. 49 plus 4, 53. So this would be 53. And of course, we would just keep on going here. 8. So f of 8, x squared plus 4, 8 squared plus 4, 64 plus 4, 68. So that would be 68. And you could even, I mean, if you're one of those people that mental math is really easy for you, you could look here and say, okay, I'm plugging in 10 here. 10 squared is 100. 100 plus 4, 104. Okay. So all you're doing here with our table, we're just going to substitute and solve to fill it in. Okay. These are coordinates. So if I was going to graph this, let me slide this up. So if graphing your coordinates would be 2, 8, 529, 753, 868, and the last coordinate would be 10, 104. So you would plot those on a graph, connect your dots, and that would be your graph from your function table. Okay? So what this is going to be used for, let's say I give you a function rule. If I say, here's your function rule, I want you to graph this. What you're going to do is you're going to create a function table, pick whatever x values that you want. Okay, you could do 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't really matter. Okay, plug them into your function rule, get y coordinates, and then plug them in on a graph and graph them. Okay, so these are functions. This is how you would fill in a function table and how you would graph a function. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Are we good, or do you all want one more? I know some of you might need an extra one. All right. Let's do one more example here, just one more. And then I promise you I'll let you get started on your learning check. All right, let's say my function rule is 7x squared minus 3. All right, and we're going to fill in this function table. -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we're going to fill in our function table. So this is my function rule. This is the rule that we're going by. We're going to fill our table in. So obviously my first value is -1. This will be f of -1 because x is -1, so it would go there, equals 7 times -1 squared minus 3. -1 squared is 1. Whoops. 7 times 1 be 7 minus 3, and this will be 4. So my first value there is going to be 4. Second one, looking at 0. So f of 0 equals 7 times 0 squared minus 3. 0 squared is 0. Anything times 0 is 0. So 0 minus 3, negative 3. Now, obviously, I'm showing all the steps here. If you don't need all the steps like this, again, that is okay. But I just caution you, just make sure you're paying attention and really thinking things through before you try to do a lot of your work without showing your work. Because I don't know about you, but I bet some of you guys were trying to do 7 squared and getting 49. Okay, so just be careful with that. So 1 squared is 1. 7 times 1 is 1. And 7 minus 3 is going to give us 4. Next one's 2. So f of 2 equals 7, 2 squared minus 3. 7 times 4 minus 3. 28 minus 3 will give us 25. So 25 will go here. And then our last one is 3. We're filling in our function table. F of 3, 7x squared minus 3. I didn't put that in. Oh well, it'll be okay. Just an extra step there. So 3 squared is 9. 7 times 9 is 63. And 63 minus 3 is 60. So function table is filled out. These are my coordinates. This is kind of like my x coordinate here, y coordinate here, okay? And you would plot those coordinates on the graph it, it'll give you your function, okay?